Have you ever made a money decision that felt totally logical in the moment, but then months later, you look back and you're just like, what on earth was I thinking? Yeah, you're definitely not alone. It turns out our brains are wired in some really weird ways when it comes to money. So let's dive in and pull back the curtain on these hidden psychological traps that can literally make or break our financial lives.
Because here's the thing, your relationship with money, it has way less to do with how smart you are or how fancy your spreadsheets are, and everything, I mean everything, to do with your emotions, your background, and just your unique way of seeing the world. It's a messy human thing, not some clean, perfect math equation.
And, that leads us right into our first big idea. When it comes to our finances, we tend to chase perfection, right? We want this cold, hard, rational plan. But the reality? A reasonable plan that you can actually stick with day in and day out is so much better than a quote-unquote perfect plan that you're just going to ditch the second things get a little stressful. I mean, just think about it for a second. Our own personal experiences totally shape our money decisions. Like, if you grew up during a big recession, you're probably going to see the stock market as this terrifying casino. But if you were an early crypto adopter, hey, wild swings might feel totally normal to you. And here's the thing, neither of those views is wrong. It's just the product of your own tiny little sliver of experience. But that tiny sliver, it shapes almost 100% of how you view the financial world, making your choices feel completely rational to you, even if they're really just a product of your history. And right there, that's the central conflict, isn't it? On paper, your financial plan might be a work of art, this perfectly rational spreadsheet that optimizes every single dollar. But, well, you're not a spreadsheet. You're a person, an emotional human who panics when the market tanks, who feels that little sting of envy when your neighbor pulls up in a new car, and who, just gets stressed out. Any plan that ignores that reality, well, it's pretty much doomed from the start. So here's the big takeaway from all this. Forget about being perfect. The goal is not to be a robot. It's just to be reasonable. See, a reasonable plan, it has room for error. It knows you might get scared and feel that urge to sell. It's sustainable. And that sustainability, that simple ability to just stay in the game, that's what really builds wealth over the long haul. Okay, and this whole idea of being reasonable flows right into our next big point. Look, we live in a world that is constantly screaming at us to show off how successful we are. But there is a massive, absolutely critical difference between looking wealthy and being wealthy. And mixing those two up, it's the absolute fastest way to have less money. Let me ask you something. You're walking down the street and this incredible, shiny, expensive sports car just roars past you. What's your immediate gut reaction? What's the very first thought that pops into your head? Are you thinking, wow, that person driving must be so cool, so successful? Or is it something a little different? Well, here's the paradox. You almost never actually think about the driver, do you? Instead, you use that car like a mirror for what you want. You immediately picture yourself behind the wheel, imagining how great you would look, how amazing you would feel. That admiration we think we're going to get by buying flashy things, it's pretty much an illusion. People aren't thinking about you. They're just thinking about themselves. So let's be super clear about this. Looking rich is all about spending. It's the act of turning your hard-earned money into stuff you can show off. The fancy car, the luxury watch, the over-the-top vacation photos. It's all just a signal to other people about how much money you have. And the result? It is, without a doubt, the fastest way to have less money. Now, being wealthy, that's the complete opposite. Real wealth is invisible. It's the money that's quietly growing in your investment accounts. It's the savings that you haven't touched. It's the stuff that gives you freedom and options and just peace of mind. Wealth isn't what you spend, it's what you keep. All right, this brings us to our final and honestly maybe the most powerful truth of them all. We have this idea that getting rich is about genius stock picks or making these huge aggressive moves. But the most powerful force in all of finance, it's something way simpler and something everyone has access to. It's patience. It's time. Get a load of this number, $156 billion. That is roughly how much of Warren Buffett's wealth was earned after he turned 65. Just let that sink in for a second. The huge majority of his fortune wasn't made in his prime working years. It came in his so-called retirement years, and it's all thanks to the absolute magic of compounding. So what this really shows us is that Buffett's true genius wasn't just being a great stock picker. It was that he started when he was 10 years old, and he just never stopped. He stayed in the game for over 80 years. See, real wealth isn't about those huge one-time lottery ticket wins. It's about getting good, decent returns and just letting them stack up consistently for a really, really long time. But of course, staying in the game is easier said than done. It's not easy. It means you have to put up with some serious discomfort. I mean, take a look at Netflix. From 2002 to 2018, it returned over 35,000%, an absolutely life-changing return. But to get that payoff, you would have had to watch your investment trade below its previous all-time high for 94% of that time. We're talking years of doubt, years of stress, years of feeling like you made a huge mistake. That's the price of admission. And this leads to a mindset shift that can change absolutely everything for you as an investor. When the market drops, our immediate reaction is that we're being punished, right? That we did something wrong and now we're paying a fine. But what if you saw it differently? What if you saw that volatility not as a fine, but as a fee? It's just the price of admission. It's the fee you have to pay to get access to those amazing long-term returns. It's not a penalty at all. It's just the cost of doing business. So, okay, we've covered a lot. We've talked about being reasonable instead of rational, about the difference between looking rich and actually being wealthy, and the unbelievable power of time. But what's it all for? What is the real end game? What is the highest dividend that money can possibly pay? It really all comes down to one thing: control over your time. The highest form of wealth isn't the sports car or the giant house. It is the ability to wake up every single morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. It's freedom. The freedom to choose your work, to choose your schedule, to choose your life. Ultimately, the whole point of building wealth isn't about having more stuff. It's about having more control over the one asset you can never get back: your time.